A blockbuster new article just came out, and you will be shocked at who is a verified federal informant.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
I haven't seen the sun in a week and a half. Look! It just came out! Look at that!
I love it!
And we are back for a blockbuster after hours. I am Dave Palumbo, joined by John Romano. Actually, somehow I feel like we're parents that the kids are sleeping and we get to have a little playtime before they wake up.
Yeah, we have a little time together before we get infiltrated. Yeah.
This is going to be a good show. We have a special guest coming on. I'll announce him in a little bit, but we've known him for years.
Years.
He's an industry icon in the sense that he knows how to. No one can dig up dirt better than this guy. You know,
probably one of the most feared men in our industry.
He was, I think, a lot bigger during the Get Big years. It seemed like that was his heyday, but
I think he honed his craft. He just got really good at what he does because this guy can find out anything. Yeah. I mean, he files FOIA requests, and he just does it all. And no, man, this is this is going to be a tough show, I think, for a lot of reasons. Because there's a lot of ways of looking at this, or a couple of big ways of looking at this, and unfortunately, the two subjects of this controversy are no longer with us, right? And they were friends of ours, and as Greg would say, good guys. Yeah. So one would beg to ask, why are we? Could this be construed as dancing on a grave? Is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's a tough show, but I think it needs to be mentioned just because it's the topic. Believe it or not, the topic is relevant because I think in today's world where people sell peptides and SARMs and pro hormones indiscriminately, thinking that it's legal. It's not. And I've been telling people this for a very long time. I mean, Rick Collins, obviously, of Legal Muscles, are a very dear friend.
Right.
And Rick, he's the first person I go to whenever someone says, "Oh, it's legal." I'm like, "Rick, is it legal?" And 99 times out of 100, he says, "No, it's not legal."
No, what he says to me is, stay away from it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't recommend it.
He knows me because he knows if it's not legal now, it'll just give me a minute. But
well, it is because there's a lot of stuff that's in a gray area. But the problem is just because the DEA hasn't made something a controlled substance doesn't mean that it's legal to sell. Because if it has drug-like qualities, or it's take for instance like people who sell Viagra for research purposes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if you're telling people what the Viagra does, and other people are, have influencers who are saying you take Viagra because it gets my dick, hard. But yet on the site it says it's for research purposes, then it's really not. You're trying to defraud the government so you can sell the stuff, to people who are going to pay a less of a price than they would if they went to the company that, Pfizer, that makes Viagra. So right. It's a very slippery slope. The problem is that so many people do these things that it's as Rick would say, it's impossible to prosecute everyone. But so it's a flip of a coin. So the people who are the most successful are the ones who get prosecuted, right?
Right. Well, it's also interesting to note that the influencers who actually receive a commission off the sale of illegal stuff, they're not prosecuted. None of them.
Well, they usually use as witnesses. That's why.
Exactly, but they're never prosecuted. So
what's going on?
Hey,
there he is.
We've already started, so we started a little.
Well, while we're beginning, can I just say a shout out?
We're already on.
I see you guys. I know we're on.
Right.
Well, I just wanted to say to the people out there, Jerry Montineeri passed away, so I just wanted you guys.
I know, it's terrible.
Wow. Yeah, the Montineeri brothers. So I wanted to give
Jerry
Montineeri a big shout out, and like rest in peace.
His family.
He was a good man. He was a good man. His brothers, the Montineeri brothers.
Great gym in what, Connecticut, right?
Oh yeah, man, Evan Center.
Super gym.
Yeah,
the super gym up there.
Yep. So.
New Haven.
New Haven.
I met them when I started working with Evan Centopani back in 06, 07 area time frame, and then I went up there a few times and saw them, and they were great. They really supported that whole crew up there. PJ used to work out up there, and Evan,
all the guys, yeah, man,
Huddle, and all those guys that were up there, and so these guys they were so supportive that they were at every show that these guys competed at. So I remember when Evan used to compete, they were in the audience screaming, all of them. And they would travel too. If Evan, we did the junior nationals, we did the nationals, they went wherever he was. I mean, it was crazy.
And Jerry was a unique guy. He was a very good man. You know what I'm saying? So, and he'll be missed because that gym's a legendary gym. I've been up there many times. I used to go up there to see my, my little brother. He's not really my little brother, but Emilio Masella, who was with Snooki. That's how I know Snooki and everything. But I'm just saying, Emilio, Jerry actually mentored Emilio, and Jerry was like a big man on the scene. I didn't know about his. Emilio called me, but I missed his call. Otherwise, I would have went to the funeral. I know that Steve Weinberger was there and a lot of guys. So
you would have ventured up there.
Yeah, well, I go up there every once in a while. Yeah. Oh.
I didn't know you left Westchester County.
Emilio's like family to me, so that's why everybody. That's why
Joe Zapata would have had to pick him up, John, and drive him up there. Probably
he would have. I would have. Joe Zapata would have went definitely.
Yeah.
Joe would have went. Yeah. But Jerry was a great guy, man. I don't know if you guys know.
I got to put something out there because I hear a lot of people using this wrong. I'm channeling my father right now, Sal. And people say this all the time. I hear even Patrick Bet-David says it. When you use the term had, okay, which is the past participle, you can't say had went. It's had gone.
Did I say I would have had went?
You said, you said I had went or something like that. But you're not the only one who does this. No. I correct a million people. If you say I went to the gym, that's right. But if you said I had went, that's not right. It's had gone.
Had gone.
And the reason I say this is because I hear a lot of people misusing it. And if you make yourself conscious of it, because it just, as my father would say, sounds lowbrow.
Yeah. Here in the South, they add a couple extra words like, in there too. Like had. What was that girl said? I drank a coconut water while I was shopping.
Yeah. That's the right word.
And she said, you done did drunk that or something.
See, that's a different language, but I'm talking about people who are actually speaking English, and they use the wrong tense of the verb.
Well, what about there's a lot of those that bug me, like regards,
or irregardless, which is not a word. I used to say that.
Irregardless is another one. Yeah. People say lackadaisic instead of lackadaisical.
Right.
There's a bunch of them out there. They just
Sugar Ray Leonard. I remember Sugar Ray Leonard years ago when he was winning. He goes, I got hit so hard, I was just discombobulated.
Discombobulated. That down south, I remember when they were like, we eat biscuits and gravy. I'm like, what the fuck is biscuits and gravy? What do you dunk you dunk little bread balls in like gravy? What the hell is that? You know what I'm saying? Larry.
Larry, what's up, man?
We're talking about people past, Greg. We have to mention CJ, Cynthia James.
Oh my God!
I talked about her on Happy Muscle Radio, but yeah, she was
holy shit,
such a dear friend to me, and just one of the most amazing people in our industry. I mean, she's responsible for more posing suits than men and women, probably than anyone else in the entire industry. I mean,
oh God, she did a lot of that from the friggin' 80s. I used to be with her down there when Bob Bonham would be running shows, like in the mid 80s. So she was. I know that. What did she pass away from?
Wait, Greg, I got to interrupt you for a second. Dave, what's the link? How do you get other people? Where can people?
I sent our guest the link.
No. Yeah, for him to post for other people to watch it.
Oh, it's on RX Muscle YouTube channel. It's streaming live.
That's what I thought.
Who are you talking about?
If we have a special guest coming on.
Who is it? Is it a secret?
Yes.
It's your ex-girlfriend, from or ex-boyfriend from the Sound Factory. Yeah.
You guys are so bad.
Amin is at the dentist. He can't come on. All right, sorry.
Who's at the dentist?
Amin.
Really?
That screws up our
I
whole
want to show you a great picture. I showed this on Heavy Muscle Radio, but it's worth reposting it. So Sergio Oliva Jr. posted a picture of his father with CJ. This has to be back a long time ago. Look at how young she is here.
Wow.
Dude, that's where I remember her like that.
Yeah, she changed very little up until not that long ago.
Yeah.
She was like a little mother to all the girls at the woman's extravaganza too. Remember when Bob would have the woman?
Every girl I ever knew competed got their suit from her.
She was like a mother to
every single one.
Well, she would be backstage with the machine. She made me suits backstage. She'd
be adjusting them and stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, I remember her forever.
She took what she did seriously. That was awesome.
She had a problem. I talked to Ron Goldstein, her husband and boyfriend, whatever. I think they're married. And Ron is a great human being. And he said that she had like something like 90 emergency room visits like over the last year and a half or something like that, because she was always having problems with ambulances, and he's like, this was just another one, he thought, and then she just didn't make it. She just passed. It was hard. She obviously had a weak heart, and she was dealing with some problems with that. And I saw her at Mel's show over the holidays in December, and she was telling me, my health's not great, but she always said that to me. So she wasn't really a big complainer. She just like, I'm a little tired, and
wow,
all right, she looked good to me, and so I guess it's just.
And she was such a good girl. I knew that girl forever. She'd be like a mother back.
60, was she 65 or 60 or something like that? 60, I think, right?
Oh, she's just a kid to us.
How old was she?
To John and I.
Everybody knows her. Everybody. Who doesn't know her?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
If you've been competing in this industry for a few years, you know who she is.
Exactly.
From the mid '80s, I know that.
Yeah, she was 59. She was 59. So.
Wow, so young.
Yeah, she was only a couple of years older than me. Yeah.
That's the thing, man. You get our age, you start seeing like a third of the people, a quarter of the people you went to school with are already gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. My sister's one of them. You know what I mean? It's just
that's right. That's right.
It's just you're like, holy shit. Sometimes you're like last man standing. It's like unbelievable. My childhood friend, it's all gone.
Yeah, a lot. We especially when COVID, blew through here, we lost a bunch of people.
Yeah, it was bad. It's just you just sit there and you say, because John and I are, about to be 65 and shit, and we're, Jimmy's already at 65, and George is a year or two older.
Yeah.
So we start, become a lot of your friends all the time. Every couple of months, I'm like, holy shit, another one went.
So, Greg, is that early Parkinson's you're shaking from, or is your
no? I'm just like sitting here, like I'm shaking.
John.
I'm doing the knee, the knee like this. You know why?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Georgie.
There he is.
You know why, Dave? I have to leave it at 1:40 because I got to run and do my taxes. That's why.
You actually pay taxes?
Yeah, of course. What do you think?
Don't worry, nobody's gonna pay taxes anymore. No more taxes.
No, what do you pay taxes on?
What do you mean? Not my good looks, because I don't have that.
No, you do. You report all your eBay money and everything like that.
We ain't got it. They send you. We got all. Not just eBay. She sells on everything, but yeah. But we.
You do a lot of cash sales too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. So if the government's watching, I report everything.
Yeah, they're cutting. They're cutting to like 2,500 IRS agents.
Dude, you remember back in the drug dealing day when I was like drug dealer? I used to always have to say, well, personal training, because you got big cars and fucking you buy a house.
Luckily, you had a gym to wash your money through, right?
Well, yeah, but. I was like, fucking forget about it. Yeah, I used to do all your personal training.
Did you buy a lot of equipment like with the cash you were making?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? We paid. I didn't lease anything. No leasing. Bought. Boom.
Oh, you owned everything? Wow.
Everything. I owned every piece of that equipment, every piece.
What was the most expensive piece you had in there?
Oh fuck! I mean, I had like circuits of Nautilus. The old Nautilus was my favorite, with the chain driven. Yeah. I had circuits of David equipment. I had like a room with just David equipment because a lot of the old people like to sit there on that. And they don't like to be around. The guys slinging weights and cursing and throwing weights around. I mean, I had I loved Flex gym equipment. Remember Flex? The bisolator and all that shit. And ham contractor. I don't remember the most expensive pieces were always the treadmills and stuff like that,
Maintaining them is always a pain.
Yeah, well, we had a guy that had to come all the time to maintain it.
It was compounded in Mexico because all of the electronics we had to bring it in from the United States. So we had to go into Texas with a suitcase and put, circuit boards in there and then, smuggle them back in.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, that's the big expense with a gym. It's the cardio stuff. All the cardio stuff cost a lot of money. Yeah. And we bought all those treadmills. I didn't lease none of them.
Now most people don't buy
That's why you had cash.
Yeah.
Well, I was selling.
Nowadays they just lease the whole line.
What was a treadmill going for back in those days?
Jesus, Dave! I don't know, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000.
Oh, they were that much?
Yeah, they were expensive. We had like Life Fitness treadmills. We had the top of the line shit. I just thought of something for George. George should come out. How they have treadmills and steppers? They should have a machine. It's like a surfer machine. You get in it. It's like a surfboard.
I'm sure they probably do.
Over waves and shit like that. How about that, George?
George, you got to see my 5-year-old, Shayla, on surfboard you gave her.
Man, it would have been perfect today for them.
She's kneeling and she's standing up on the thing. She looks like she's ready for the, for the.
Well, let's make a trip, Dave. I can't. There's no waves where you are. Zero.
I know.
Zero. You have come out here for a whole day.
Maybe over the summer.
Dave, do you ever wonder what your kid's view of Georgie must be like?
Oh, they love him. They'll think he's
the coolest. He has to be like
he's the coolest. Are you kidding?
He comes with cookies, surfboards. He takes him to the beach.
Yeah. Wait, George just said there's no ways where Dave is. Trust
wait
me,
for him by the window when you say.
I bought my son an e-bike, John, which is like but it's like a pure e-bike, so it's almost like a dirt bike, really. I mean,
man, they're like quirky little things.
They go like, I got on the thing. I was like, holy mackerel, it's cool. So my friend Paul is like he's into dirt bikes. His son is into dirt bikes. Yeah, they rode their whole life, out here in Cape Coral. And so like my son thinks he's the coolest guy because like they could talk like dirt bike talk.
All those kids jumps. I see.
Like I'm just a dumb bodybuilder. He's cool now. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah.
Dirt bike talk.
Hey Dave, I got to
packs of like 10. I see the kids like your son's. How old is your son now? Is he 8?
9. 9. Yeah. He tells people he's 13.
He looks it.
And they're going over these jumps and stuff. They're going in parking lots, and going in and causing havoc. With all the old people.
Luckily, he doesn't know about that yet. He's still happy to ride the bike.
What do you mean? He's already been doing it.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that.
The question is how much.
Yeah. I just saw a kid hit in the front of a car yesterday.
Oh, really?
He was on a path on there's a road, the main road, and then there's a path along the road, like not a path, that you walk on path and sidewalk. And he was like doing the jump and a ramp. He was 12 years old, and he went into a car straight on. And he didn't get hurt. He got a little banged up, but he fucked up the front of the car, and he was freaking out because he's a little Spanish kid, And I told him, bro, I watched you the whole time doing wheelies and shit, And he hit this car, dude. He fucking destroyed that bike, and the mother, he was like scared. The cops came and everything, and the mother, he's like, I can't call my mother. She's gonna kill me. She's gonna kill because the mother bought him the bike, And the mother was this hot Spanish chick. She must have been like, like my girlfriend's whole family. They all have kids when they're like 15, 13. The mother was like 20. She looked like she was like fucking 20. The kid's like 12, But the mother was hot, but I could tell he was getting it when he got home, man. She's like, you little motherfucker, because the cops were there. No one cop said to him, hey, listen, not for nothing. You're 12. I did things when I was 12, and I got my ass beat too. So whatever happens, because the kid went right. The cars was stopped, and the kid jumped over, up the curb, right into he wasn't paying attention. because these kids today are fucking nuts.
We used to crash into park cars when we were kids, riding our bicycles. Remember?
Yeah, but this kid smashed into the car. The car was stopped. It was an SUV, and he went into it so hard he pushed in the bumper and shit. That's how hard he hit that thing.
That's a great story for Dave to hear.
Yeah. Kids are very resilient.
You know what I want to ask Dave? Dave, I watched your video, right? Now, by the way, that was fucking awesome video.
Oh, yeah.
And I comment on that video. My comments got a lot of comments, you know.
Okay.
So, but I want to say, how the fuck, at the end of the video, they have that picture of you like sideways like this. How the fuck do you stay grainy hard all year round? What in God's name?
I just had to have a crazy metabolism, Craig, and I don't know, and I don't eat enough, so I'm trying to keep my weight down, because I don't want to I get big if I eat too much.
When you're chronically starving, it's easy to stay there.
But I have a really. I don't think I produce. I remember when I went for stem cells originally before I got my shoulders done. You know, they supposed to take it out of your fat cells, and the guy said, "You don't have any fat cells." He said, "I've never seen anything like this." So they had to do it out of my hip. They had to take it out of the bone marrow, But yeah, I mean, I just don't have any fat, Greg.
Dave, it's fucking sick though, because I'm gonna be honest with you. That one where you're at the end and you're like sideways. Like, and you're so fucking hard there. I think that you're harder than a lot of the guys.
Right, he is.
Oh yeah.
No one's hard as Dave.
I'm like looking at that shit. And I'm like, how could there's like the ab? I do even have skin.
Greg, did you see that exhibit in the museum called the bodies?
Oh yeah, I didn't go see it, but I have seen.
That's Dave alive. That's them coming to life. Is Dave? He's like a cadaver.
No, I want
no tissue on him. It's just muscle.
It's funny you say that, because I was saying the other day to my girlfriend, "Holy fuck, Dave! You know, I watched this channel where they have cadavers, right? And the guy talks about like, so here's the fucking bicep, and here's like your like your gut and shit like that, right? Yeah. And I'm watching. I'm like, it fucking looks like Dave. There's no fucking fat. I mean, like how the fuck do you stay like you are grainy like hard like you're
Craig, I have no fat on my body. I can't explain it, so I don't know.
It's past that. It's past grainy. It's past,
that's what I'm saying. There's no fucking.
It's cadaverish.
It's like sick.
The skin is gone. It's all gone. It's
Dave. I think
it's genetic.
He's got dangerously too low in
fascia.
In body fat. You have to start eating some junk food.
Yeah, but holy
shit, all the time.
He does. I've been with him eating. I have pictures of him
all the time.
He's eating pasta and shit like that. But how the fuck does he stay? He's as hard as any guy on the Olympia stage. And Mr. Olympia is not even harder than him. There's no way.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for part 2. Believe it or not. Then.
Well, yeah,
I'm talking to Alexi, the guy who made it. We're gonna get him on the show. We should get him on next week, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe do something at the Olympia. That's what we were thinking about.
That's a good idea.
A lot of us are at the Olympia, so he could probably capture a lot of people on video and interview people and stuff like that. Probably needs to go to New York too, because I have a lot. If I want to get all the people from my past, a lot of them are New Yorkers, so he probably should make a pit stop.
I think that's where he should fuck that whole Olympia shit.
Well, he can get you, he can get my sister, he can get like Wilhelm, people like who I grew up with.
Wilhelm. I got to ask him about that special that IGF that he always told. Dave has this IGF that can get your dick like really big. It's a special idea. He used to tell me that. I love Frank Willem. He's a great guy.
He is a great guy.
He used to tell me, like, he has this growth, this IGF. He knows this IGF, Frank. He's got that.
Frank and I went to Barcelona together and to buy steroids. So
I love Frank. He's a fucking, he's got that, but he's got that voice, Dave's got this fucking IGF. This fucking thing makes your dick really big. And I'm like, what is it? Like IGF what? Like IGF like 52 or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the I see. And Jay, I'm not. I used to talk about that all the time. I used to say, dude, what's that IGF?
You know what it was, Greg?
I'm pretty good at this. I don't need that shit, but I'm just saying, like, holy fuck.
I grew so fast. Like, I got put so much muscle on because I was so scientific about what I did. And I was a hyper responder, obviously, that these guys that I hung out with on a regular basis, and Frank was one of my best friends, they thought there was something that I had some kind of secret or something like that I wasn't revealing to them. You know what I mean? Like there was something that I must have that they don't have.
He used to tell me
what it was willpower. And obsessive compulsive desire to be the best. That was what I had.
Yeah, but he was talking about the Pichu Ligat. You know what I mean?
Like, He was obsessed with the fact that I had big feet and big hands, so I think he assumed.
Well, I don't have big feet or big hands, but I'm pretty good.
I think you grew like that because you came from doing cross country for all those years, and then
I don't know.
was just ready to
I definitely it has to be some sort of like a metabolic enzyme shift from years of running and switching to bodybuilding, and I don't know.
Well, look at the guy Sam. He was a swimmer, and also the guy Eddie.
Yeah, but he's
Dave's.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it probably has something to do with the extensive running that I was doing, because even when I'm on no drugs, I have no body fat. Now I don't grow as well. Now if I could take a little bit of HRT, I'm a hyper respondent to that. But the leanness, I don't need to do anything to be that lean. That has to be like a metabolic shift that my body went through, probably from running 10 miles a day for 5 years straight.
David, it's just genetic.
Well, I think it's genetics. But look, you could change your enzyme systems in your body. Your body adapts, right? If you put your body in severe oxygen debt all the time, and you're running 10 miles every single day, and I'm not jogging. I'm running because I'm training for cross country. I'm running at a very good.
You're still running now?
No. Oh. This is years ago I'm talking about. I think your body metabolically shifts itself to use fats more efficiently.
But Dave, I'm a hyper responder with the steroids. After 2 weeks I'll be jacked. But you're fucking shredded. That's not normal.
Well, I think that's separate from my ability to respond to drugs. I think I just have.
But even when you were fucking 300, I remember when you were 300 pounds. You know what I mean? So I know I see.
Right, but let's say everyone
you were fucking ripped out.
They tested Lance Armstrong for his ability to buffer lactic acid, and they found that his ability to we talked about this before. His ability to buffer lactic acid, which is what causes the burn in the muscle, right? When you're training, is like 1,000 times better than the next best person.
Right.
So when he's riding up a hill, he doesn't feel pain the way you or I would. So how do you beat a guy like that? You can't.
No. So if he bodybuilded, then his muscles would repair quicker.
I was on.
We don't know about that. He just doesn't feel pain.
Lactic acid wouldn't build up, Dave.
He's an endurance. He has the endurance gifts. He doesn't have a hypertrophy gift. Right. He has an endurance gift. Right. So how is he? Maybe he was obviously born that way. So I don't know. So I obviously have metabolic enzymes that metabolize fat at a much more accelerated rate than the average person does, and I probably upregulated those from years of running, from bodybuilding, from dieting, from just everything I've done, and then obviously drugs accelerate that as well. So when I was 300 pounds and I'm taking 4, I use a GH a day with steroids and IGF-1. Obviously, that upregulates that ability. So now I'm 300, lean. So it all goes together. Everyone has their gifts. I wish I had Flex Wheeler's structure, but I have Dave Palumbo's metabolism. Ronnie, Ronnie and I eat at Outback together, and he's looking at me. His arms I told the story too, 25 inches. He's sitting there with both guests posing in Fargo, North Dakota. And he actually has the audacity to say to me, "Man, how do you stay so lean?" I said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, as you sit there with your 25-inch arms and your whatever he had at the time, 5 Olympia titles, I said, you have the audacity to ask me.
What about myostatin negativity, Dave? Do you think that you have some of that going on?
I don't know, because I don't really have a propensity to put muscle on very, very easily. Introduce drugs, yes, but not like I'm not like naturally not a big guy, so I don't know.
Victor Conti tested a bunch of those guys.
Yeah, Flex was negative, wasn't he?
So was Richie Gaspari. He was part of, you got to be like, it's not myostatin negative. It's like some
defects in it. Yeah, I'm sure that anyone who's a hyper responder probably has some defects in myostatin production.
Probably.
So how do you explain your injuries, Dave? From lifting too heavy weight for your shoulders and stuff?
I think my problem is I'm super hyper flexible, and that's not really a good thing to be when you're a bodybuilder, because you won't tear muscles, but your joints get beat up because there's too much movement in the joint. So the joint grinds too much. If you have a tight joint, you don't get joint problems, you just tear muscles. So
what about the low body fat?
What?
What if the fact that you're low body fat? You don't think that has anything to do with you getting injured? I mean, like this.
No, because I never got injured in the gym. Never.
Right, that's something your grandmother would say.
I just wore away my shoulders because I think I had too much movement.
He's so skinny.
No,
He's going to get hurt.
Well,
He's going to get hurt.
gain weight for this. Don't strongman gain weight for the competitions? They gain like 50, 60, 100 pounds.
If the heavier you are, the stronger you are. That's just
more water. Yeah.
You know what? I also have a funny story. I told Chris this on Heavy Muscle Radio on Sunday night, but it's worth repeating. So I go to the airport. I bought 4 Siberian cats over the last 2 months. So I had to pick up the last one. So I take my kids. We go to the airport to meet the woman, and this woman Renee Smith is there with the kitten, and the kids are going crazy in the plane. And she's talking. She's like, she goes, "You're a bodybuilder, right?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, my ex-husband. You might know who he is. I'm like, "Who is he?" He invented the Smith machine. Can you believe that? How funny is that? Her husband worked for Vic Tanny, and Jack LaLanne.
Oh my God!
Now, according to the story, because a couple of our viewers looked it up and said that according to the story, it's Jack LaLanne invented the Smith machine, but this guy Smith is the one who promoted it, and because he worked for Vic Tanny gyms, and he's the one who made it popular. So I don't know who invented it or who didn't. Maybe Jack LaLanne took credit for it. I don't know, but it's named after this guy Smith, who's her ex-husband, which I thought was pretty. There's always a bodybuilding full circle, even when I'm going with animals and and stuff like that. I always run into people that know someone in the bodybuilding industry somewhere, which I never even thought that. Hey, a guy by the name of Smith invented the Smith machine. It doesn't, I just thought it was what it was, but it's pretty cool, right? I wonder if he made any money off of it.
Well, he got his name tagged to it, so
it's called. Well, who knows?
Yeah, imagine there was a machine called the Valentino machine.
That would be like a toilet. It's already got a name. It's called the toilet.
Well, didn't John Crapper invent the toilet? That's why they call it the Crapper, right?
Are you serious?
He was a Civil War general, John Crapper. Yeah.
Holy shit!
Did you know that, Greg?
Did you know that they used to? Dude, they used to
ask ChatGTP that one.
Wait, Dave, did you know that they used to wipe their ass with their left hand? Right? They didn't have fucking toilet paper. So
I believe it.
That's why they always say when you shake hands, you got to shake hands with your right hand.
Well, no, and the Middle Eastern people wash their butts, with that. That's why you don't. That's John Crapper right there.
That's why the punishment of getting their hand chopped off in those countries.
He died in 1910, John.
Wow.
He was an English plumber and businessman. He founded Thomas Crapper and Company in London and the plumbing equipment company. His notability with regard to toilets has often been overstated, mostly due to the publication of a 1959 fictional biography by a satirist.
Dave, who invented the enema?
Can I finish? Hold on. Can I finish? Crapper held 9 patents, 3 of them for water closet improvements, such as the floating wall cock. He improved the S-bend plumbing trap in 1880, inventing the U-bend.
He did the trap too. He invented that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's the company owned the world's first bath, toilet, and sink showroom in Kings Road. Crapper was noted for the quality of his products and received several royal warrants. Manhole covers with Crapper's company name on them in Westminster Abbey have become one of London's minor tourist attractions.
Oh, that's funny.
So there you go. I thought he was a Civil War general. I guess he wasn't. He was, but he was a plumbing expert. And look, he's forever known. You'd say I'm going to take a crap, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Wow.
That was my father's favorite expression. My father either was taking a leak or he was taking a crap, and he did an awful lot. I don't know why, but he was always in the bathroom.
I'm going to print that guy's picture out and put it on my wall.
He should be your hero, Craig.
He is my hero. The guy who invented the enema, the fleet enema.
I thought you invented that.
Well, I perfected it.
No, he popularized it.
I perfected it.
Yeah,
gotcha.
He introduced it to men.
Invented by Jack LaLanne. Rudy Smith promoted it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
What about Larry Scott? Did he invent the preacher bench? Scott bench. Remember Scott curls?
I think they just call him Scott curls because he did them. I don't think he invented the bench.
Scott curls were reversed like this, right? Your palms facing down.
Yeah, that's a Scott curl. But they used to call the preacher bench the Scott bench because he used to do it on the preacher bench.
No, it's a preacher curl.
Preacher curl bench.
I thought it's because that's in the monastery. That's how you had to do curls. or a preacher.
Yeah.
They teach you how to do that because if you're a preacher.
That's how you know you're old school. Somebody just wrote to me, was talking about that. They're like, should I be doing Scott curls? And I'm like,
I actually have a Bi-Star. It's like an incline curl machine.
That's cool.
You're talking about, Larry, you're talking about like the one like not Nebula, the one that I had, the Flex, where you're sitting in there like this and curling like that.
Yeah, that's a cool machine.
We put your arms in the pad, they could actually move like this. But
you can do those reverse too. Those are good for forearms.
Is that the one, Larry?
You guys remember the Kaiser equipment? It was had the air pressure.
Yeah, that sucked. Bob Bonham had that.
It was terrible.
Bob had that shit.
Had that.
But the air machines, George, the air machines would break down. Bob would be.
And the hose connection always crap.
Yeah, it's a fucking pain in the ass. Bro, remember the Nautilus bicep, the first one where you're up like this and curling like that? The padders, you were up like that. That was the original.
It was a good, but it was probably it left your bicep in a very precarious situation.
That's why I like the multi, the one where you sit,
That was a great circuit when they had Jack Delane. They had 3 different circuits. They had the Nautilus circuit, with all the Nautilus equipment. Then they had.
Jack Delane was a badass, bro. He used to remember at 70 years old, he fucking.
I actually have
with a tugboat in his mouth.
What did you say, Larry?
I have a Bi-Star curl machine that was invented by Larry Scott. It has
what is it?
It was invented by Larry Scott, and it's
Larry,
the only one I've ever seen like it. I've never seen anything like it.
What was special about it? What was special about it?
It's like an incline curl, but there's pads that your triceps go against, and the handles are out wide, and you curl up kind of like this. It's just a different movement.
He's talking about the one I had.
It's almost like
you're not moving at all.
Seated incline curl with
Larry, you gotta go.
He's talking about
curl with
show one time in your gym and show us your gym equipment.
Pads to get your arms.
Like the Flex Bisolator.
I told Dave to put it up there, but I said
we're like this.
Put up on my website. You can see it all.
Here.
I trained at Jack Lane in Yonkers. I trained at the one in Portchester for a bunch of years too.
Yeah, everybody trained at
the one in Portchester. We put all the equipment there. That's when Steve McCooley was the vice president.
That place was badass.
Yeah, he hired. I remember before it opened, they switched to Bally's. He hired me and a couple other guys to do the personal. We were going to do the first personal training in all of Jack Delane's.
That was a great gym. All the bodybuilders trained up there. That's when I started really working out.
Did you?
Yeah, they were powerlifters, so they got to order all the shit. It's like $4 million worth of stuff in that gym.
They had the best free weight room I've ever seen in the Jack Lane. Yeah. So
Dave, do you remember Bill Day? Do you remember him?
Of course. Yeah, I used to go to the gym at 2 a.m. with Dr. Mike.
Dude, he was a great guy. I don't know whatever happened to him. He used to talk to. I used to buy equipment from him all the time. He would talk to himself when he would train. Come on, Billy. Come on, Billy. What are you gonna do? And people would be looking around like, who the fuck's he talking to? Right? Then he'd squat. He put the bar right on his.
I heard he would squat without holding on to the bar, right?
That's what he used to do. He'd squat with like fucking 600 pounds on his back. Wouldn't touch the bar like this. Would stand there. Come on, Billy. One more, Billy. One more, Billy. Right? And sometimes he'd hold on to the hook.
Did he have a good physique, Greg?
Yeah, he won some shows. He won.
He did.
He won the Westchester, but he had to go up against a lot of good guys. But he was very extravagant. He had the hair, like, don't touch the fucking hair. You know what I mean? With the hair and shit.
Doug Wentz was head trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doug Wentz was after me.
Yeah, that's when I was training with Doug. All right, we have a guest on the panel we're going to bring on now. John, you want to introduce him?
Yeah. I've worked with this guy for a long time. We've known him, Dave, it's got to be decades that this guy has been in our purview. One of the best, probably the best investigative journalists I think we've ever run across, and proving and taking on some extremely controversial topics over the years. You either love him or you hate him, but his name's Anthony Roberts, and here he is.
What's up, my friend?
Where is he? I know Anthony.
There he was.
I saw him in the waiting room. He was fine.
I know Anthony.
We have to have technical difficulties. Otherwise, it's not a show.
Investigation.
He'll sign back in, but
it's not a show.
He contacted me, and he said, "Listen, I got some information on some people, some bodybuilders that you know. They're both deceased, but they were federal informants to some degree. And I think it's important. You're going to talk about it anyway, he said, because there's going to be articles. The articles
it's already out.
They're already out, the articles. I don't know if a lot of people have seen it, but he's going to come on and tell us what he discovered and what he found out. Here he is. I think we got him home.
Oh, shit. I know Anthony. How long?
What's up, Anthony?
Holy shit.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, man?
You in years. Holy Christ.
Good.
How you doing?
Greg, how are you?
Oh, very good, man. How you doing? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
God bless.
Last time I saw you was at Strong and Shapely, right?
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Wow.
You're talking like 20-something, 30 years. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't know about 20-something years, but it was a long time ago.
Greg, is Anthony a good guy?
Anthony's a great guy. I don't know. He had hair back then.
He's in the great guy status.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man.
He just has a bad connection.
Oh, is he frozen?
Oh, is he frozen again? He looks like Robert De Niro right now where he's frozen.
He does. He's a good De Niro.
You looking at me? You talking to me?
Dude,
Talking to me?
I remember I saw that movie when I was in
You might have to use his phone.
basic training.
Yeah.
Wow.
You talking to
Anthony,
me?
use your
A
phone.
lot of you
Yeah,
guys
it's
are
gotta be
cutting out. You got
25 years.
You talking to me?
Walking here.
He must be talking. Yeah, fuck, he's a disgrace, though.
I say that when I'm
Yeah.
driving somebody in Uber. I'm driving somebody in Uber, and the guy
I
gets in, he's talking to someone on the headset. I go, "You talking to me?" No, I'm talking to my friend. I'll go, "Okay." You guys see the conversations I have in there. Oh man,
He's switching to his phone.
Okay. I'm glad you're communicating with him. That's
Yes,
fine.
I am.
All right. Okay.
Oh, man.
somebody was asking me about the
years.
stem cells. How are they?
John,
Are you still with that stupid bottle of stem cells you got there?
No,
Oh,
no, I'm not.
No, it's a new bottle of stem cells.
You look at my arms. Oh my God, they're grown. No,
You actually look big. I was going
He
to say you look
does.
very muscular.
He looks really good for
Did you buy them stem cells at Walmart?
What is he? What are you, 67 now?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
67. I weigh 230, right? But that's too. I want to get a
Too
lot
big.
lighter.
You better lighten up, bro.
Huh?
You better lighten up.
Well, because I surf and I try to do the.
Yeah,
training
the lighter you are, the longer you live.
Yeah, how are you getting so big with all your MMA training and all your surfing you do? You would think you would get small.
I don't know. I'm getting lean.
He eats cookies.
No, I'm lean. I'm getting leaner.
But you're big. I'm saying you're pretty much.
You look good, dude.
I know, but I'm not even lifting weights.
Are you kidding me?
No, because what I'm doing is I'm doing more like
Punching.
I do that training, but I surf. Like
John, he's got belts and he's got arms. He has to be working out with weights a little
He
bit.
has to be. But paddling,
like
when you paddle on that surfboard, that's a lot of.
Yeah, so this morning I surfed for about an hour.
John, those surfers have like 12-inch arms. They don't have. He has like 18-inch arms right now.
But he had them to begin with, so
I don't know why they're growing like that. I don't want them to grow.
What do you want? What are you taking?
Don't want your arms.
I'm taking 300 milligrams of Antonate a week.
Well, that's why John right there. He's growing.
Why is that too much?
No, it's fine. And then he's on stem cells too, John. Right?
No, I'm not on stem cells. I did my due diligence. I told the guy I want to see the patients that he's been dealing with in his office. All right.
He's on monkey stem cells or something like that.
It looks like a stem cell shot. It looks like an energy shot. Stem cell shot.
This is in an oil suspension, and you spray it on under your tongue.
Test suspension. Yeah, you inject it once a day. Yeah.
Oh, you heard of it?
Big ass needle, like an 18 gauge fucking pin.
It's trenbolone and test suspension.
No, what I did is I kept asking him questions because I'm asking questions. He's making all these claims. And then I go try and search him on Google. I go, how come I don't see you're not putting down as a doctor? You're telling me you're a doctor and you do research.
He's as much a doctor as Richard Rodriguez was a doctor.
So you know what he tells me? The guy tells me I don't want to be because I can't make claims. I go, you can't make claims. Nobody wants to hear a salesman come on a show and talk about it. They want to hear the scientists. You don't have to talk perfectly.
Right.
But if you're the one that developed it, and I want to see all the people you've been dealing with. Supposedly he's been helping people on stage 4 cancer stuff, and I go, and the only way it's going to work is if I go off, if you take my blood, right, and then I'm the role model, and then you take my blood every week to see how what's going on and how I'm performing, and if it's changing everything.
Anthony Sottobello makes a good point right there.
Yeah.
Knows what?
Oh my God.
Yeah, sure I do. I measure cookies all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's using like the tablespoon measure for the.
Look,
For those of you out there, by the way, every cookie of his has 5 milligrams of Dianabol in there. So if you eat enough of those things, you can get.
No, I can just picture him with the Dianabol tablets, and he's got the cheese grater, and he's got the bowl of dough, and he's like grating the end.
Can you imagine how many cookies he'd sell if there was Dianabol in those cookies? Oh my God.
There is. It's not
they'll have you arrested.
It's not Dianabol. It's the Captain Protein energy that's in there. And when you eat a cookie, you get the energy. That's what you get. The positive energy, and positivity is what makes you grow.
Now here's a basic lesson in advertising.
Yeah.
All you have to do is say, here's the cookie, here's the arm. So this is how I got my arms, by eating these cookies.
Okay,
There's gonna be at least a couple thousand people.
We're going to find out like Steph Curry failed the drug test in the NBA, and they'll be like, "What? I don't know. I didn't tell you. All I ordered was protein cookies. They were delicious." He goes, "I put on like 10 pounds."
It's like the ex-con failing the heroin test at a poppy seed bagel.
Dave, I made a whole batch of keto.
There you go.
Beautiful. That's what I love. Those are my favorites.
Pumped up keto, though. These are pumped up.
Yeah, pumped up with what?
Deer antler.
It's a secret. It's a secret Captain Protein.
You know what? I do have an idea for him, John. You should make here. I'm throwing it out there. Someone's going to steal the idea if you don't do it. A coffee flavored cookie. Yeah. Okay, but you're going to use mushroom extracts in there, like turkey tail or lion's mane, because the mushroom extracts have a coffee-ish taste in them anyway.
Right.
And I want you to make me a keto coffee cupcake.
So why do you want to
CCC coffee keto cupcake?
Why do you want the mushrooms in there?
Because I think it's good for mental focus. You can sell them as a performance like food.
And put
that's the whole
chocolate
idea
chips
behind
in
the
there.
cookies, putting protein, putting the ingredients in.
You can even put little pieces of espresso like chips in there. You know, I've seen chocolate bars.
Dave, did they sell it as a powder?
Espresso beans. Use those.
Yes, you can buy mushroom extract powder. Yeah, you can buy that. You don't have to put a lot in there. You just put a little bit.
No, that's what okay. Because I make bagels too.
But,
I mean,
I've never tasted a coffee cookie. They have cookies you eat with coffee where you dip them in the coffee, but they never made a coffee flavored cookie.
Like a tiramisu cookie.
I shouldn't even be giving these ideas away. Someone's going to steal my idea.
Oh yeah, somebody.
They can steal the idea they want. It's the marketing, Dave. It's the marketing is you could sell shit crap.
Jordan knows.
Crap. You need massive marketing. Massive marketing. You know that. Without massive marketing, you're done. Toast.
Yeah.
You just.
How come we can't get that on the fucking call?
Like the Misfit toys.
He's like Mr. G. He's a genius, but he can't get an internet connection.
God, I know. What the hell?
Yeah, so Dave, maybe the thing, because I had no injuries, nothing, right?
Right.
And I run on the assault treadmill, I sprint, I train.
And it's all because you eat the protein cookies.
All right, I stand corrected. There's Italian cookies with coffee flavor. All right. Well, I want a coffee cookie for Mr. G, a keto coffee.
You're going to get
think about that.
John, text me
keto cookie
with the mushroom in it. John, text me the flavoring. You got my number, right?
And you're gonna name it. You're gonna spell
tiramisu.
Listen, you're gonna spell cookie with a K, George. Okay. Coffee keto cookie, the triple K.
Oh, triple K.
Yeah.
How about a spaghetti and meatball cookie?
And you can call it K cube.
Not gonna work.
I want Italian flavor.
Spaghetti and meatball pizza, maybe, but not a spaghetti and.
How about eggplant parmesan ice cream sundae?
No, but here's my thing. Why do all the?
This is what you're gonna do, George. This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go get you're gonna go get decaffeinated instant coffee. Okay, and you're going to put that in there, okay, for me, because I don't want a ton of caffeine in there, and because people eat a lot of these cookies, they'll be wired out of their mind.
So you want decaf
instant coffee, add it to sprinkle it into the mix, your keto cookie.
What about the mushroom? You don't want the mushroom too?
And then you put a little mushroom extract to get some turkey tail, some lion's mane.
Yeah, the whole point of me making my products was always to drive the macronutrients in.
Right. Well, when you do this, now you can charge the prices you charge, and no one's going to complain because it's a performance cookie now. So
well, they can complain all they want. I mean,
Georgie, your cookies aren't driving macronutrients anywhere. What you want to do?
There he is.
There he is.
We got him.
All right.
What's up, Anthony?
Hey. All right.
Much better. Much better.
Cool.
All right. Since we're running low on time, let's get right to it. You've done some research. Tell me how you got involved in this research project, looking this stuff up, why you did it, and what you found out.
Yeah, so basically when Transformics peptides went down, I pulled the court documents.
What year was that, Anthony?
That was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, so I pulled the court documents, and buried kind of on page 22 was a reference to somebody known to the grand jury with the initials BL. And I published an article about it, and then Boston Lloyd reached out to me and was asking, like, hey, did you hear anything about, like, informants maybe? Or, do you know anything? What's my exposure as a sponsored athlete? And when he passed away, unfortunately, that was kind of a green light to FOIA to file Freedom of Information Act request. So that, when he passed, maybe like a day later, I filed that request to just see what was going on with informants and whatnot, and, specifically on his name. And to be honest, they actually didn't redact the FOIAs correctly, so they left Jerry Ward's name in as another informant.
So this company gets busted. This was the company. I know Boston was promoting these peptides for a while. That was the company he was working for, and I didn't know Jerry Ward was also working or involved with the same
Boston was technically an owner.
He did tell me he owned 33%. He was getting some pretty big paychecks. He told me for a while.
He did. He had a contract with them that said he owned 33%.
I told him he was crazy, by the way. I told him you're nuts. I said,
for what reason? Like, there's like 10 reasons that could
be. Explain why it's illegal, Anthony.
Yeah, so this is illegal. This is specifically the introduction of unapproved new drugs into interstate commerce. A lot of these drugs, these peptides, like IGF-1LR3 or CJC-1295 or MK-677, these drugs have not passed through FDA approval. Now, so what these guys do, I'm sure most of your watchers are going to know this. What these guys do is they put not for human consumption because it's not legal to sell them for human consumption, but labs can sell it for a reference standard or whatever. So they throw this on there and they think, well, as long as the website doesn't say, right, here's how humans need to take it, or here's the appropriate dose for a 200-pound man, they think they're in the clear. And then they typically also pay someone. So they say, I can't say it's for human consumption, but I can pay someone to say it's for human consumption, which is obviously completely incorrect. So, so it's basically, it's misbranding, it's introduction of unapproved drugs into interstate commerce. Every time they make a deposit, right, it becomes money laundering. Every time they send out a package, it becomes mail fraud. They make a deposit and it's bank fraud. And there's like a dozen or 24 crimes that they commit every time they make a sale.
Interesting. I remember when Boston told me, because Boston was so transparent, he called me up. He's like, the feds came to my house and they were asking about this peptide company that I'm involved in. He goes, I said, I'm assuming you told them that you don't talk to anyone without a lawyer. He goes, no. He goes, I have nothing to hide. I just told them, come on in. I asked if they wanted a drink. I'm like, oh my God.
He admitted like a dozen felonies. He was like, they got a package seized by customs, So I said, yeah, send it to me. And then it was leaking white stuff, and I repackaged it and I remailed it. It was phenomenal. Like the amount. Yeah. On the other hand, you have Jerry Ward saying, "Oh, I never took them. I promoted them, and I had them ship them to me, and I had a $200 a month stipend that I always used, but I never actually took them." Like he's not admitting to personal use. They don't care about personal use.
Right. Jerry Ward was a good friend of mine. I find that crazy.
So was Boston Lloyd. The weird thing is that they're both not alive. That's the really strange.
That's the kind of weird. That's the weird part about this whole thing.
We'll find out
about this after they're gone.
So Boston,
peptide's dangerous.
Boston had a very almost a naivete about certain things, and I think that you and John, that's why he was so honest about everything, because he's like, well, I have nothing to hide. I use these peptides. I promoted them. I sold. I own part of the company. Like I don't think he knew that to not say anything. He just was like, yeah, well, this is what I do. I'm not doing anything wrong, I guess.
Right.
And so he just thought that telling them what was going on was nothing special because they already knew.
He asked me about it.
Oh, they already knew. They already knew. If you watch Jerry Ward's old videos, Jerry says, like, hey, when the feds show up, they know what you're doing already. So Jerry, other than not admitting personal use, these guys were several months into the investigation. So they didn't show up to start the investigation. They really showed up to Jerry's house and to Boston's house to put a bow on it, right? Because they charged these companies with conspiracy. They didn't charge them with any of the actual crimes. They only charged conspiracy. So you really need testimony to make that work. So
because you usually need an underlying crime to
and they chose not to. They chose not to indict over they were selling steroids. They were selling methyl-1-testosterone.
Wow.
They were selling methylstenbolone, dimethazine. They were selling SARMs, Ostarine, right? Ligandrol. They were selling GW 501, 516. They were selling everything you can sell, and all they got hit with was conspiracy to commit mail fraud and conspiracy.
This is the Transformics company itself. You're talking about the owners.
Yeah, Jerry and Boston, they admitted a ton of crazy things, and obviously they didn't have a lawyer with them. They admitted everything.
Which is nuts, by the way. Yeah, which is insane. Yeah.
That's crazy because I was good friends with Jerry. We used to go out to dinner. My girlfriend still talks to Erin, his wife. To this day, they talk.
Jerry had a very popular YouTube channel. He had to know that what he was doing wasn't legal. And you know what? I don't know why he did it, because he had a lot to lose. He was making good money, from his channel. So I don't know why he would roll the dice on that. But people make a lot of bad decisions, and they just don't know.
Maybe they got arrested secretly. You find out like.
Well, they came to him and he cooperated with them. Greg is what Anthony's telling us now, right?
To be honest, I don't think they were ever in danger of being arrested. Like the way these conversations went down, right. I can't believe they ever thought they were in. They must have gotten sat down and the Fed said, listen, we don't care about you. Tell us everything. Because they just admitted that they were giving them text messages. Jerry was like, here's my text messages. So they must have really believed they were just in no danger at any time.
Are you saying it was in the supplements? Like Jerry had a supplement company?
No. This is a different company, Greg. It was a peptide company that they were promoting. Jerry would promote it on his channel.
When I would go out with him and we go to dinner and his wife and everything, we never talk about bodybuilding. Just like Lee Priest. I go out with Lee. Lee comes to my house and stuff. We never talk about bodybuilding or steroids or any of that shit. It's the last thing we actually talk about, Well,
Greg, you and I never talked about that. In all the times we've hung out, we've never talked about steroids or bodybuilding.
I don't talk about that shit. I can't
about what diner we're going to go to.
Yeah, there you go.
I think Boston was on. I really think that Boston was under the impression that, well, you know what? If these guys are so openly going to give me money and a percentage of the company and everything like that, then there's nothing to hide. Everything's in the open. If anyone asks me, I'm just going to tell them what's going on because it's not illegal in my mind. I think that's how he
That's a very important point, Dave. What you do is you convince yourself that you're not doing anything wrong, but barren of the fact that you are. But but you've convinced yourself. Richard Rodriguez is probably the greatest example.
Yes.
Okay. Here's a guy who just blatantly sold steroids online out of the upstairs from a gym.
And he said he was a doctor. He portrayed himself as a doctor.
I was telling Anthony yesterday when I first met him was what I had contracted Flex Wheeler and Kevin Levrone to do an appearance for me in Mexico. And right before the trip, Flex calls me up and says, "You mind if I bring my doctor with me?"
He must know the sheep doctor.
Yeah, bring your doctor. You know, so,
and he brought Richard Rodriguez,
and that's how I met Richard Rodriguez.
That's great.
That was
great.
That's funny.
but
Anthony,
you gotta admire the hubris that in running through $10 million worth of sales in steroids online.
He made the most of anyone, right? In 1 year, I think he told us, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't rat on guys, did they? He didn't.
He didn't.
Right. So I don't really consider them like. I mean,
no, Richard did the time, but my point is that
Richard. I meant
Jerry Boston and Jerry gave information about the guys who owned the Informants.
Let me add something. Let me just add something to this. They got Boston was making between call it 10 and 15K per month from these guys, and he was in on sweat equity, and he started thinking they were robbing from him. Both Jerry and Boston pretty much openly said these guys are stealing from me, and they had parted ways by this time. And both guys thought, these guys soaked me, these guys just robbed me. So, the feds show up. They want to talk about some guys who ripped you off, that stiffed you for 10K or 15K, call it 12.5K.
Right.
The feds show up. They want to talk about your old partners who screwed you over. Yeah. And they say, you're in the clear. And we already have the case made. I don't see that as snitching, to be honest. They weren't trying to get themselves out of trouble. They were almost trying to get themselves into trouble with all the things.
Well, I'm sure they would give it immunity, Anthony, right, by talking to them?
I suspect they probably testified to the grand jury, because when I see memorandum of interview and I see what a prominent role, and especially because they're getting hit with conspiracy instead of the actual substantive charge, I can only imagine at a later date they both got immunity, and probably they both talked to a grand jury, and somewhere down the road, if it went to trial, obviously I'm sure they would have appeared on a witness list.
Yeah. And I think this is look, we all love Jerry, we all love Boston and everything like that. But, a lot of guys are not willing to, if they're doing something wrong, they're not willing to take the onus for it. And they're going to try to, if they can get out of it and they have an easy out, they're going to take it. And I'm judging anyone on doing that. Everyone's got to make their own decision what the right thing to do is, I chose to, suck it up and do the time, whatever. Other people have, gotten out of it. I don't know if it would, like with Boston and Jerry, it wouldn't have changed anything probably on the outcome of the person they gave information about. But, the right decision when the feds come to your house is to say, call Rick Collins. Here's his card. You shouldn't really talk to a Fed without a lawyer present, because
I think that's who they called, actually. Transformics.
I don't think
did in fact call Rick Collins.
You don't want to pay Rick.
Pretty much no one else to call.
Yeah, and
Rick's the best. I love
it.
But
because all you can do is incriminate yourself. All you can do is incriminate yourself, and they can use that information.
Asked me about the whole thing when it was going on. He asked me what he should do, and I basically told him he should shut up, but he wasn't going to do that. But the do conspiracy, that's the easiest charge they can make, because they don't have a very solid case. So conspiracy is just like a big wide fishing net. They did the same thing on me. They never caught me with anything, so they charged me with conspiracy. And that's just it covers everything.
Right.
You don't have to specifically nail you on a specific thing. It's just conspiracy. Based saying that you plan to do this. That's it. That is the charge.
So, with regards
Boston
to that,
ask me about it.
So I suspect, with regards to that, I think they picked conspiracy because they were after Transformics' supplier. Transformics ultimately also rolled. I mean, like, I'm not saying Jerry and Boston rolled. I think this is a very different thing.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not saying that at all. Fully support their actions, to be honest. But Transformics eventually rolled, and they, I believe, probably got their supplier taken down. Just my own speculation based on what I've been seeing. And they also rolled on their customers, which is super dick. Like, they gave up customers who then got sanctioned by athletic bodies.
Oh,
which
really?
I've never seen. That they gave up a customer list, and now these guys had like their titles stripped, and it was a couple CrossFit athletes, weightlifters. Transformics is the villain here. It's not Jerry or Boston.
Yeah, it wasn't like Jerry and Boston went and testified, but I still have to stress to you, if the feds ever come to your house for whatever reason, because look, a lot of bodybuilders use steroids and they get them from different places, China, overseas. Don't talk to anyone. Say, look, I don't deal with my own business. Talk to my lawyer. That's it. Because that's how Martha Stewart went to jail. I mean, we talked about this, John, you and I, back when I had my case. She perjured herself. Because she should never have talked to the prosecutor without a lawyer present. They got her for lying, and then she wound up doing 5 months in prison. So,
Martha Stewart went to jail because my boy that I just went out with Friday night, Charlie Gasparino, was the one who broke that story. Matter of fact,
he did?
She just saw him. He broke the story about her doing the insider trading shit.
Right. She didn't go to jail for insider trading. She went to jail for lying.
I know, but she was doing all that shit, and then she told Charlie Gasparino recently, "Fuck you." You know what I mean? Like,
she did? Oh, really? Just because he broke the story?
Yeah, because he's the one who brought it out into the open, and then the feds went after her. But this whole stuff, like with Transformics and shit, I'm sorry, but I feel like they're like fishing in a fishbowl. They know the bodybuilders got something to lose. It's not like the weed dealer. You go bust some guy selling crack and shit in New York City. He's like, yo, that ain't mine. What's your name? My name is fuck your mother. That's my name. But you got a house, you got a little family, you got bullshit going on. We're gonna take away your family. We're gonna take away your house. And they're like, what do you want to know? You know what I mean? And it's like fishing in a fishbowl. Do you really think that are people carjacking cars or robbing houses to support their steroid habit? No. Do you really think like, man, we're gonna clean the streets of fucking all these people taking Transformics or whatever the fuck? The world's going to be a lot safer if we start busting these guys taking peptides. It's so stupid to me. Go chase real crime. There's other shit going on in this country that you should be worried about. Kids taking fentanyl and all this other shit. And you're worried about some guy trying to take a little fucking, MK677. You know what I mean? Like, it's like fishing in a fucking fishbowl.
But that's been the argument. That's been the argument for decades about the whole, anti-steroid movement. It's like, come on, you're bothering us for hormones.
Why do you?
But we have something to lose. That's why.
They got to make it look like they're doing something. That's what it is.
Well, these guys, this particular prosecutor's office has been in this game for a while. Like, I've been watching them for like.
Why do you think they went after this particular peptide company?
Like almost the past decade, these guys have been in this game. So they're for whatever reason, they're hyper focused on. They took down Steve Wood from SNS or Serious Sports Nutrition or something. They've been knocking people down for a while. Like this is their deal in this particular office for whatever reason.
Because they need to look good by making big busts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it looks good. We just took down this peptide company. Wow, the streets are going to be safer now. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, what a crime ring that is. You know, meanwhile, you got people carjacking cars. Go to New York City where there's savages everywhere. You know what I mean? There's roaming packs of 13-year-old little motherfuckers that jumping people and shit. And you're worried about some guy, I'm going to take a little Legandrol, you know? I'm trying to get my body bigger. I'm trying to, be more fit, more a little healthier, try to get some muscle on. They're worried about that shit, right? Again, it's like fishing in a fishbowl. That's the way, I remember going to Carnival upstate and they had fucking these giant trout and you're swimming in like a giant pool. And they give you
Dutchess County Fair.
Yes, the Dutchess County Fair. John knows because John used to live. Yes, John.
Trout pond. That was so cool. These fish were like this big and they're swimming around in like a kiddie pool.
It's a pool, and you actually go in
harpooned them with the end of the fishing rod. I mean,
dude, you go in there, you get a fish. You want to go fishing, you get a fish right there. It's like, dude, how can you miss? I can jump and grab one and shit, like I'm noodling and everything. But what I'm saying is, they're worried about some guy taking AK-677 or some company where we're selling friggin' Legandrol. Don't say anything. You know what I mean? They're worried about that shit, right? But then you got all this other shit. There's other nutty shit, bath salts and all this other shit that people are getting whacked on. To me, it's an easy bust. You know what they need to do? We need to make a name for ourselves a little bit. We gotta make a big bust. How can we get some? And they get the scuttle, they confiscate, so they get the money, and it looks good. We made this bust. $3 million we got, from this company because they were selling MK677. Fucking hey, that's the way I look at it. You got other shit in this country you got to worry about. There's savages everywhere, and you're worried about some bodybuilder schmuck trying to friggin', And then they know that you got everything to lose.
The simple solution is just to legalize all this shit, and then they don't have to deal with it. I mean, but
who we got for that? You know who we got to thank for that? Schwarzenegger back in fucking what, 1990, 91, where supposedly, they used to say he didn't want Lee Haney to break his record. I don't think it's that, but he's so far woke. He was like, that should be, definitely should be regulated and illegal. That shit wasn't illegal back then. You know what I mean? It was it was like getting a prescription drug. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't
like penicillin.
Like antibiotics, right? Now it's like, holy Christ.
But if you think about it, like what is a peptide? It's a protein, right? So I mean,
right.
If it was orally, in other words, if they sold it in the supermarket or you put it into a protein tub, you probably could eat it and then no one would say anything. But because it's in a little vial where you can add some water and inject it, it all of a sudden becomes illegal.
You're in jail with crack fucking dealers and shit. What are you in jail for, bro? I was selling fucking kilos of crack. What are you in jail for? Bro, we were bringing in all that fucking heroin and marijuana from. And what are you in for? I was selling MK677. You know what I mean? Like, holy fuck, really? You're a fucking criminal, you motherfucker. We don't want you to you go sit over there. We don't want to associate with you. You're a criminal.
It's one step up from a child molester.
Holy shit, man.
What's gonna what do you think that what's gonna happen with all these tariffs now on this stuff? Is the price gonna go up of all these chemicals?
Yeah.
No, they're gonna go down because we're gonna make it all here in America.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
Made in America, baby.
We gotta open a compounding lab that does this legally. That's
We could do it here. You gotta do it here.
No, we would just produce the raws and then sell the raws to China.
China can make their own stuff. Every country can take care of themselves. They can fight for themselves. If they can't fight for themselves, then they don't deserve to exist. Ain't no gang gonna come in any one of our towns in our country or any gang take over anybody in the U.S. because every man in Colorado stand up against them.
Wait, now you got the woke left. You know what they're going to say? Look at Donald Trump. Because of him now, they're making their own drugs in the United States.
That's right, making everything here. And
they're making their own drugs.
Podesta, she's got 370 billion. You know what Podesta is?
Yeah, John Podesta. Yeah.
John Podesta got 300 before Biden. That crook left. All right, they gave him $370 billion. $370 billion. They're funding all these idiots who are protesting. Oh, you're protesting. Oh, you want money? You want money being sent to Pakistan to start a gay Sesame Street? That's what you want to promote.
I have a question. Hold on.
None of that shit exists.
Trillions of dollars.
Hold on. Why are all old men obsessed with the news, John? You ever notice that? Old men love to watch the news and fucking scream at the TV.
Are you talking to me? Hey, Dave, am I an old man?
Greg and I watch to have the news on all day long.
That's right. We watch. You have to be informed, David.
By the way, I wanted to give you a Jimmy the Bull update.
Spreading the alarm, telling people, informing people.
I got to wrap up the show, but Jimmy the Bull called me the other day. He sent me all his blood work. He thought he was having he thought he was on his deathbed again. And he was thought he was having pancreatitis, but he didn't have pancreatitis. And he had a full body scan, John, from the neck down to his feet. And the only thing they found was that he was old. That's what they told him. And he had some like residual kidney stones that have been there probably for 20 years that they told him, which we knew. And everything is just calcified, and he's but nothing is wrong with him. He's completely healthy, 100%.
No, he doesn't want to be, though. He's so healthy because he goes to the VA every couple of days.
That's right. He was saying he's greatly relieved. I want everyone to know Jimmy the Bull is fine. He was supposed to come on the show, but I didn't send him the link. He'll probably blame me, even though I know he's probably driving and he wouldn't come on anyway. Right. But I knew Anthony was coming on. So I wanted Anthony, thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Where can people read that story that you wrote? It was really good. It was on
really good.
Yeah, it's on thinksteroids.com is the first part, and then I'm going to kind of do more of a deep dive into the law and the drugs and all that for a part 2 next week.
Gotcha. Okay. Great stuff you're doing. Keep up the great work. Thanks for coming on and filling us in. And
Anthony's the best. He's my guy.
Yeah.
You're a good man, Anthony.
Is there anyone you don't like?
I love Anthony. I know.
I know you love him, but is there anyone you don't like?
My girlfriend.
You better like her. She's
no, I love my girlfriend. She's good. She's the best.
You guys are like you. I figured that you guys should have a TV show, Greg.
She's gonna go cut the grass.
Think about it. Think about what a great TV show, John, they would have if they got him, like almost like the Pickers and all these other crazy shows. Him and his girlfriend going at night in the 300,000 mile car, picking up junk at people's curbs and then bringing it back, refinishing it, and then selling it on eBay. I guarantee people would love the show.
Could you imagine the furniture tied to Greg?
Greg is such a great personality.
Could you imagine all the furniture, like tables and chairs and shit that are tied to his car?
Greg, you would be a TV celebrity, even though you say you already are. But you would be a TV celebrity. I'm telling you.
Remember that scene from the Beverly Hillbillies where it had all the furniture tied to the that would be Greg. They would be out picking, and you got the Honda there. With
we do put that shit
and couches tied to the top.
I know you do. That's why someone's got to film this.
And then you could have a scene where you come in and Greg's got the head and he's got a paintbrush and he's replastering, the ear.
Wait, I'll show you what I found.
Because then, John, then they can get into like high-end junk. You know what I mean? He can turn his house into a pawn shop, and stuff like that. It would be
people would come to him and ask him if this has any value.
Wait a minute, look what I found. I'll show you what I just found. Hold on, ready?
He found Lee Haney's Sandow trophy.
Look, it's a little
Bobby Kennedy.
Bobby Kennedy. Somebody
threw out his head.
Are you going to fix it up? No, you going to fix it up with like paint it and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm going to fix it. I'll fix it.
Are you going to do?
You should do it and sell and send it to RFK Jr.
Wait, are you just going to fix it up, or are you going to mold the rest of them?
No, I'm going to. I can make a mold out of that.
No, seriously. Why don't you do some of your little artwork on it and send and offer to send it to RFK Jr.
Yeah, bedazzle it.
I got an idea. Make the American flag out of his face.
No, Greg, the Chia Pet stuff. The Chia Pet mush. Put it on there and make it grow.
No, the flag.
Make
his face the flag. Like the.
I think you should fix it up, and I think you should send it to RFK Jr. Maybe he'll come on. Maybe he'll come on our show. And thank you.
Another one. This is me. I need to put the sunglasses on it, but right here, look. Dun, 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 dun.
Who is that?
That's Curly from the Three Stooges.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I thought it was what's the guy? Harvey Weinstein who's in jail for.
You look a little like. No, Greg drew on the mustache.
Look, I put a little sunglasses. If I put sunglasses on.
Put the shades on, Greg.
He does look like you. You're right.
More than Uncle Fester does.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Anthony, for stopping by. Thank you all for joining us today. We are wrapping up today's festivities. Next week, we're going to try to have Alexi on talk about the Dave Palumbo documentary. You can download the soundtrack. Sid put up the link before. For now, we are out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo with the entire Whack Pack and John Romano. We'll see you next week.
Made in USA, baby.
Anthony, great seeing you.